Welcome to a Prevent Connect podcast, where we explore the prevention of violence against women. This is a project of the California Coalition Against Sexual Assault.
You talked so much about how you all met, and I'm just wondering, what was it like to work with CalCASA? What benefits do you see from this partnership between CalCASA and the church?
Well, my experience has been very positive working with CalCASA. First off, Adrienne, her presence, her friendship, her partnership, for me personally, has been incredibly encouraging. So I would say it's just not CalCASA as an organization, but it's the staff. I'm just personally very grateful for Adrienne and her friendship and partnership in this area, but as well as with CalCASA. CalCASA was extremely helpful from a technical point of view, from everything from helping prepare PowerPoints at our training meetings to updating information on California law and policies that relates to sex offenders or other issues related to child sexual abuse. And so the expertise and the technical support of CalCASA was extremely helpful.
I love that you didn't just say the relationship, but also the friendship, especially in this work, thinking about how we can make communities safer and more just for people. Kristen, what about for you? What benefits do you see from the partnership between Community Church and CalCASA?
You know, we're still newly entering into this battlefield, so to say, and I just absolutely love linking arms with such a great organization that is full of great resources and tools and support and knowledge, and working with Adrienne has been just a complete joy. She has such a warm presence about her, and she represents herself and CalCASA so well, and you can't help but just love her as soon as you meet her. So I've been
definitely have an
very
Adrienne
happy to work with CalCASA.
I would like to thank Peter and Chris for really diving in. And the role that I see churches is sort of like all the other ministries that most churches have. They have a food ministry, right? They have a youth ministry. There's various ministries. They have immigration ministries. And so the role that I see churches playing in preventing sexual violence, they're going to have a ministry, and it won't have to say preventing sexual violence ministry, but it's going to be a ministry that's going to focus on that, but also look at it from a healthy relationship standpoint or looking at boundary standpoint. But I really foresee churches implementing a ministry that's going to address this, and they're going to have a title for that ministry that's going to cause people to wonder what's trending in these churches, right, and want to join in these ministries as a volunteer as well as someone that's going to be able to utilize those services.
Thanks, Adrienne. I'm so excited for our listeners to start to get some ideas about how agencies and their state coalitions can begin to engage with their faith communities as well. I'm wondering if you all can share what some of the successes have been from this project so far, and if you have any, what are some lessons learned as we continue on with this process and this project?
What quickly comes to mind was seeing 5 churches in the Susanville area come together from various denominational backgrounds and, as Chris shared earlier, link arms and work together to change culture in our churches as well as change culture in our community regarding child sexual abuse specifically. When we began to look at this project and pray about it and consider it, I was told it'll never happen in Susanville. It'll never happen in Lassen County. This isn't who we are. We've never done anything like this. We're tucked away in this remote corner of northeastern California. And to look back over a year later and say 5 churches who maybe had never worked on much of anything together before, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears invested in this project. I don't know if we've seen anything like that in our community before. So I think it was a huge success. I would also say another very significant success is having the privilege of being a part of the healing experience for victims of sexual violence or sexual abuse, or what we're seeing currently with support groups and classes grow and take on a life of their own. That wasn't happening a year ago, but we're seeing fruit, we're seeing evidence of the way God is working, and that's just been a huge success, both at the kind of macro level, churches corporately and collectively, as well as that micro level of individual lives where we can see healing take place before our eyes. I don't think there's a greater success than that.
Peter had mentioned that We're looking for that cultural change, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's a continual process within our community, just the collaboration and also just having that kind of support within our community, raising awareness and being able to help to identify when something's just not right and being able to support and aid in that circumstance. But then also, I think a part of success is also within our church, that survivors within our church are feeling supported and valued and feeling like, yeah, this is a safe place for me and this is a safe place for my kids. And another aspect of success is, I think, for me personally as a mom, going through these trainings, it gets me to better equip my children to protect themselves and also to know how to better protect my kids as a mother.
I love that one of the successes that you all shared is not just how, you got this group of churches together from different denominations, but that you also have successes even just in your own personal life and with your own families, and how you can make differences, have those ripple effects throughout the places that you move through and touch.
I think what success from this project is, one of the things that CalCASA set out to do was to serve as a conduit between faith-based organizations and rape crisis centers, facilitate partnerships. But also, I realized that we were able to help facilitate partnerships with other faith organizations among themselves, and to have these conversations. And now Peter is able to build off of that and have these support groups for survivors, as well as Samaritan Safe Church and CalCASA, and the training hub was mentioned in the newspaper in Susanville, California, because there was an actual support group for survivors, and it was called Tamar Speaks. And so that was another opportunity. And as Chris stated, people are feeling safe that they have someone to talk to. They're feeling safe that they do not have to endure their pain in silence. And they know that Susanville is a community where there are some people that can support them. And so I count that as success. And, the lessons that I learned was that there are more faith organizations and people of faith that are interested in learning ways to be of service, most importantly, want to be educated around gender-based violence and sexual assault and preventing child sexual abuse. And so I think that is a success as well as the lessons learned. And this is what we wanted.
For folks who are listening who have not worked with churches in the past, but definitely see the value in their community for doing that, what tips do you have for them? What tip would you give someone who is working in the anti-sexual violence field and who wants to partner with churches?
I think there really needs to be perception that we see each other as allies and not adversaries, that we really are needing each other. Organizations like CalCASA, when I think of local rape crisis centers, when I think of churches in our community, I see that like a three-legged stool, and each of those three legs are extremely important to keep that stool upright and to fulfill its purpose. And I think it's also important for other practitioners in the area of sexual and domestic violence prevention to understand faith-based organizations and churches, understand their values, their convictions, and to respect those. There may be some issues we're not on the same page. We may not agree on social issues, but that's okay. We can still work together very effectively in the areas where we do have agreement. So I know tolerance works both ways, and people in churches and people of faith do not want to be labeled or classified because they may not agree in other particular areas. But we do know we agree in this area. So again, let's link arms and work well together.
My advice, I think, is, again, this doesn't just happen overnight. I was asked if I could stand up for any one issue, what would it be? And as I considered and thought about something, I thought, well, if this is what I would stand up for, why aren't I and how can I? And I came to my own realization that I am a member of my community, therefore I have a role. And I think each individual in each church is in their own process of coming to that same realization. When we first started with the Safe Church trainings, we needed to gain partnerships with other churches in the community. And not everybody said yes, and some had to say no because of just not being ready at the time or having the right resources at the moment, but they were still interested and they still wanted to be a part of it, but just couldn't. That lets me know that I still should go back and do another invite at some point to encourage them to continue moving forward in this movement together.
That's so true, and I would just hitchhike on what Kristen shared real quickly, and it really ties into those lessons that we learned through this project as well, and that is to be patient and to persevere. Changing culture is a slow process, but indeed it is changing, and we don't want to give up. We need to keep taking those steps, but it is so worth the effort.
I would like to say, in order to build these relationships and partner with churches, I highly suggest to map out these faith organizations and learn about the faith organizations. And some of the faith organizations may have ministries or certain programs or projects that they are already involved in the community that the practitioners can build off of that and or partner with them. I think that it's also important to realize that I don't think it's as hard as people think. Time may seem very long, but time is of the essence and it could be done. But I think most importantly, map out these faith organizations and learn about what it is that they're doing and build a rapport with them before you say you just want to work with them. And there may be opportunities where you can work with them because you guys may have mutual projects or community programs that the faith organization as well as the practitioners are a part of. And also seek out people that you know and ask if they faith organizations are addressing some of these issues. And, you know, sometimes it's good to network and go through people that you know because I think that sometimes we don't know what we don't know.
So true.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Adrienne. So I just want to take, another opportunity to thank you again for having this conversation and for sharing your work and your insights and your wisdom around this work. And so thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you for listening to this Prevent Connect podcast. Prevent Connect is a project of the California Coalition Against Sexual Assault, with funding from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The views presented on Prevent Connect are not necessarily the views of the United States government, the CDC, or CalCASA. To learn more about Prevent Connect, visit www.preventconnect.org. For more information about CalCASA's mission, or to show your support, visit calcasa.org. That's CalCasa.org.